Right, here goes. I never thought I would ever write a piece like this. And before I go into this piece, I need to make it clear this is not an attack. It is constructive criticism and in essence an audit against claims being made. It will no doubt elicit much response, as I will be labelled the bad guy for pointing out either the failure of others, breaking hopium spells, fake reports, misleading information, divide and conquer tactics, mainstream media sensational headlines of it all happening this coming Monday or the latest Tuesday, silence within the week, unless the host does a "we need donations" call, and then another repeat and rinse the next weekend, with a different theme and zero addressing of why the previous weekend didn't happen. I have always said that if I thought people were not operating for or in the best for we the people, I would call it out. And Lifeforce and Kim are no different to anybody else. For the record, and I will repeat again, I want Kim to succeed as the trustee and Eve. But I did tell her it was not a good idea her going public, and I gave her valid reasons to protect her as to why before the split. I want the TV channel to work 100%, as it is exactly what I said we needed back in 2013 and since, given so much of the alt media is corrupted. You all see it now. Perhaps not so much when I first outed it 5 years ago. And I don't particularly care if that TV channel didn't or doesn't include me. I really don't. I've come up with other solutions that all appear to be status elevating, and yet I wanted others to do it, not me. Remember the military courts as one example. I picked John Darash and National Liberty Alliance and Carl Appel. Why? Because they are better placed to understand it, and even included Anna von Reitz. The business team and subsequent TPC3 video I gave to Alan James to do, because they are more business-minded than I, despite me running a successful business of my own for 25 years. So if people think I'm pissed about not being in Lifeforce, that is a wrong assumption. Some will say it is because of the split, which she engineered all by herself, that I'm now criticising her. But I would not have agreed with numbers of the decisions Kim has taken in the near past 5 to 6 months either, and so it's no different and not personal. It was Kim's idea only to split from THI and divide our community and go on a different path. The only difference now is, once it was private and now it is public. But Kim herself made it public with her own statements. Remember, I said nothing of the split for 5 weeks. And she also went public with her show, proclaiming about not having a relationship with me when nobody suggested that that was the case. And so I'm not sure why she had to state that. And the Bill Clinton-esque statements did not make a good look for the trustee or the Eve. Her show is to be treated no different from any other alt media show now, except they make more claims than any other group on the internet. And to date, their record is 0 out of 14. That is not a good look for them. And because it's 0 out of 14, it's not a good look for me or we the people either. Yes, you heard that right. Their mishandling is not good for me or the people. It needs to work and work properly. And this was our biggest chance to end the clowns and their regime. And decisions since March made by the trustee is jeopardising that for all to see currently. So people can snap at me, blame me, use me as the bad guy. But I've kept largely quiet and watched a disaster unfold that is damaging to us all. But after podcasts done by them this week, enough is enough. There is a common theme running through this piece, and I hope all, including Kim and her group, take a long, hard look at it, because it needs to be corrected if the damage of the last 6 months is to be pulled back on track. Kim's latest was like a rerun of several THI shows this week, albeit with wrong placed information. Riddled with THI themes, and yet we remained a maligned group. Unless Kim feels she can use some of our members for brownie points. But it raised several inconsistencies and mixed messages within that speech, which I will address to not attack her, but to get her to see where the problem lies. All people make mistakes. The key is to correct them, not mask them and hope they all go away. They don't. In fact, they get worse. I warned everyone 4 years ago the masks come down and people are going to see. And we are. And so the cover-up leads to lies. And them lies have to be maintained. But then another event comes forward that contradicts the previous subset of information. And at some point, honesty is the only way forward. Because in this case, it has got 1,000 times worse than the original problem. She spoke about a 9/11, and it was all about to happen again. But this time it's global and real and billions to die, she proclaimed, and then wheeled out the classic mainstream media or Hollywood movie trailer-style delivery of statements with no supporting information, and then said, "Stay tuned for our next broadcast," is again not a good look. All this after promising this channel would not be like the mainstream media. It is, and worse. That podcast has put people in fear, Kim. And if you're going to out that level of dire statements, you do not keep people hanging like that. And it is, again, inconsiderate of the emotions of the people. Cliffhanging and trailers are of the Hollywood mould, generating interest to garner more listeners or viewers. This is not what we want or need in the alt media. It's piss poor grandstanding and it fails to take into account the emotions you have caused to the people who listened to that caveat. One suspects these constant flow of sensational events each week now on their show is a deflection against the promises made in the previous shows not coming to fruition, and a total failure to address it each week of why the previous week's promises or predictions all failed. That, again, is not a good look for a new channel, and less so for Kim's standing. Now, how the channel looks does not really concern me, but Kim's standing does. And someone has to tell her things are not going well or right, and the yes people over there are not helping her currently. She stated in this podcast that we are all responsible to fix it, which I agree with on point. But that is contrary to everything else that has been stated by her in the last 5 months, with constant references of me, myself and I, the now 4 titles, plus the highest security clearance, and how I don't need anybody else, I'm doing it all alone. And now there's an alleged crisis, and suddenly she passes all the responsibility onto the listeners to fix it. Then we got the religious aspect thrown into the mix. The solution to fixing we're all gonna die problem is to pray. Is it P-R-A-Y or P-R-E-Y? Neither are good. But what type of leadership is that? Because if praying fixed anything, billions would not have died in the past 100 years alone. She then goes on to state that Tank is the leader of the rebellion, according to Kim via the Project Looking Glass. I will leave my opinion out of that. But many people are aghast at that statement, inside and outside of THI. And they're all asking, is it a sign that Kim is not either being truthful, grandstanding, or has lost the plot? And I will repeat again, they're others' words, not mine. Some things are best left unspoken, and with the rhetoric and dire warnings that followed in that show, one has to wonder why it was even mentioned in this podcast. And what the people are thinking is, it is another of your now long list of jabs against me. Making comparisons between me and Tank. That is what they're thinking, Kim. And it's all very, our show is better than yours. Like I said, they're thinking I'm relaying, not mine. Speaking of Tank, he was talking of the GCR again. And now we know why he flew to Reno, Nevada again recently, as Reno is the home of the RV payout game. Is Lifeforce UNC now running a new RV program? Question mark. Not a statement. Again, he gave more promises yesterday and again requested more funds from listeners. This is becoming like a church begging bowl. Where are these funds going to? And where is the $25,000 of members' donation for Lawful America that Tank took out the bank, I'm told? Where has all that gone to? I know exactly what the latest requests for funds are, Tank, and what they're for. I see patterns. And quit asking people to show me the money in a background of fear-based rhetoric again, or I will out the reason why. So in his podcast yesterday, where was an update or an acknowledgement of our call to action on the adrenochrome issue the night before, Tank? Is that something else that will be brushed away and hope people forget it? Or doesn't it count because it came from the so-called enemy group? Tank also reiterated that Kim had taken out the top end of the Roths and Black Sun and the black nobility, and one hopes there's no backtracking on that news item, like she did with a previous statement of 768,000 Black Sun members are dead, only to backtrack on it in an attempt to discredit me and THI. You all heard it. But with all the top end of the lower end people, I want to repeat that again so people hear it quite closely. With all the top end of the lower end people, because all the real top end were deleted 5-6 years ago now, are now gone. And Kim is in charge as ground commander of them now. I expect instant or imminent changes on a daily basis now. And no, I'm not being unfair with that statement either. With leaders all gone, as she now claims, there is no one left to run the programs except minions, which she now controls. Kim states trust our apps. Tank stated they were hacked. I stated that was proof apps were not safe, and then Tank goes on the next show and states it wasn't hacked, that he just got the password wrong. Pull the other one, Tank, it's got balls on. Now, yesterday, he says they're hacked again. So which is it to be, Tank? But then he says, trust our apps. Which is just about as shallow as trust the plan and Q. And remember, Lifeforce came in with a Trump and Q sales pitch. We're going to be getting Q drops and White House passes. Where did they go, Tank? You, Tank, are there to protect and make sure Kim is safe. In good hands, and quite frankly, you have spectacularly failed to do so. You have no reputation to lose. You don't have one. But Kim does. And the haphazard, shambolic way you have ran this show for Kim has damaged her more than people realise. Although her input is not exactly helping either. You may get away with saying wrong information with your followers, politicians or world leaders, but not THI listeners. And this is not about an internet show. It has far wider implications. And as for your statement of the now UNC was on the looking glass tech, do you really expect people to take you seriously with that? Because that, like the rebellion man, are pure ego statements and not conducive to we the people. It gets more embarrassing each episode of failed promises, both of them talking about varying stuff and getting it consistently wrong information, because neither of them were the origin of that information, and they are winging it, just not very well. It's not a good look. I wished it would be better than this, but clearly it's not, and somebody has to say something. Kim spoke last week of not speaking to heads of state anymore. Then this week she is hectic because I've spoken to many heads of state. Some consistency would be nice. Then we had the part about the White House end user and purchaser of all the minerals, the in-ground minerals. But Kim has previously stated that the trust owned all of it in-ground anyway. So why would the trust purchase minerals it already owns? We would like some clarity. Kim claimed some deal on this was going to take place and that it's happening Monday. And again, this is about the 4th or 5th Monday or Tuesday of promises now. Student loans, Trump announcements, biomachine announcements, Israeli money, Mexico money, and now this. Again, that's not a critique. These claims and promises you are making each week are damaging your credibility and making her look like a liar. And at which point will she see that? As of today, we have heard nothing as to whether the latest deal that was happening Monday took place. My opinion is it was just to spin Kim's wheels again. And the clowns have been doing this to Kim for the past 2 years. I kept telling her to not engage these people and gave her several alternative solutions, all of which were ignored. And the people she speaks with are mostly just plugging her for information, wasting her time, and delaying the progress that we had made. I gave her a 12-point plan to fix that in March. To date, she has ignored that as well. Kim went on about food shortage, and I'm really pleased she mentioned that. But I warned her of this issue in spring of last year and did a show on it. And the question is, why is it taken 18 months to recognise a problem the team had warned her of? Kim then spoke of and was warning about the digital world. Oh my. And yet I got flack only recently and accused of attacking them for mentioning about her digital wallet program and also the digital apps. Thomas is always attacking me, she proclaims. No. It was warning you about going down certain paths that would come back to bite you. It did, and it has. Kim called for people to do homework this week on the role of communism. Really? This again was covered comprehensively and extensively by our From Russia with Love series. Why didn't she reference that? And again, I kept telling her about Trump and his links to the real group behind communism, the Zionists, and their connections under the banner of Jewish. Are we seeing a pattern yet? Kim recently stated that Trump is a good guy, but he is a Black Sun member. How long has she known this, and why did she expect he would follow through for we the people? Now, Kim then launched into a full-on attack mode on Mr. Trump, which I thought was good, stating his actions are not good enough and he is now not fit for purpose. Finally, Kim, you see what I warned you of back in 2016 and several times since. This is not about me being right. Most times I'm right. I wish I was wrong. And it's about being able to listen to people and take appropriate actions. That way it becomes a team-based decision, not a one-person roadshow. Because when that roadshow falls short, and it has, only you, Kim, then end up getting the flack. Because you were the one who told everyone it was all about you. You were setting yourself up. I could see it, and so could others. And this is what you don't get. You are setting yourself up to get abuse and blame with all these one-person claims. And for the record, I, for one, do not wish to see you get that abuse and or blame. Because in case you forgot, I was your firewall to avoid all that for the past 4+ years. I think it's great to see and hear Kim finally call out Trump. But the question remains is, who funded Trump, Kim? Who funded the Fed in March, Kim? These questions remain unanswered, and so it creates doubts that were not prevalent prior to May. Other people are now suggesting that things have got progressively worse since April-May time, as time and events rack up. And at which point does that become indicative, Kim? And at some point, Kim has to listen to people who are advising her and actually take that advice on board, not ignore it, and then we all pay a heavier cost later down the line. To all intents and purposes, it appears now that Trump has been playing her like a fiddle, which I stated in a long conversation with Kim about plans in December 2018. I would love to be proven wrong on Trump, but evidence to this point leans otherwise. And we cannot just take it for granted and sit back and trust a plan that nobody has the slightest idea what the plan is. Because if the highest national security clearance person on the planet doesn't know what the plan is, who else does? We're tired of weight clubs. Weight clubs means more deaths. But you, Kim, have done many, many wonderful things, and that should not be forgotten. And it's not by me or THI members. But you have to take the rough with the smooth. You have to treat the critiques and plaudits in near equal as measure as possible. Not rail at people for having the audacity to ask a question, and then cast them out like last week's trash, all for pulling a face. And because you have set it all up as a one-person roadshow with all these titles, you have left yourself stretched and open to being attacked. That was not the case prior to May. You know it, I know it, and the listeners see and know it also. You may be angry now, Kim, but you ignored all the signs given to you by people who did everything for you to succeed. And as you are the leader of several titles, you have to take a large degree of responsibility for the current global mess. And again, I'm not saying that as an attack, because what I say is actually the truth. You can't have all these titles and responsibility and dissolve it onto everybody else. And it's far from only my opinion either. Way far from only my opinion. As much as you would like to make it seem like that, it's just not. I may be the one to fire the gun, but there are many, many others who load the bullets, Kim. And you need to come clean on things that have been done by you, said by you, that has both gone wrong or backfired. It will not be me or us who face the consequences, Kim. It will be you. You are the holder of all the titles, and you who will single-handedly carry the can if it all fails. This is what I was warning you about, not attacking you like third-party people said. You stated last week, willful ignorance is a crime, you said. And yet there is a number of major issues that you ignored from your own team. And that should be recognised, accepted, addressed, to be able to move forward. You stated all on this call are welcome and must take part. And I mean all, you said. Except that does not include myself, who in your words was the team and the THI members. That comes across as a tad contradictory, does it not? And yet again, does not make you look good in the public's eye. Only last week, 2 good people out of THI travelled 4,200 miles round trip and 70 hours of driving at their own cost to attempt to do a mediation with me that you, Kim, agreed to, and then blocked it when they got here. That was disgraceful and shameful in equal measure. A 4,200-mile round trip. That trip coincided with the death of my father, and you, Kim, did not even have the common decency to send condolences, and was aghast at the mere suggestion of it. That is not the behaviour of a trustee, an ambassador for Earth, and certainly not the behaviour of a supposed Eve. It's more Lilith-like than Eve. The reality is you're lucky I even wanted to try and speak with you after what you said and have done since May the 4th. But I agreed because I see a bigger picture here that goes beyond personalities. But that does not encourage trust, integrity or unity. That equals divide and conquer and is more in tune with Marduk tactics than the new trustee. You asked for a network, or pleaded for a network on this call. We at THI had already built that up, with Randy Morgan's, Jimmy Brent, Alan James, state groups, country groups, and you were directly responsible for those breakups within those groups. You have to take and accept some responsibility here before you start asking people to come together, largely because some of your own actions have now gone wrong. Passing the responsibility now, as you did in the last show, onto all the people, when it was your actions and decisions that were responsible for the current mess, is just not a good look. All people make mistakes, Kim. They are lessons to learn for us all. They are not situations to cover up and turn what was a small mound in the grass last May into the giant sinkhole it is now. There's only one person in the sinkhole, Kim, and it's not me. We had them, the clowns, over a barrel, and we were strangling them out of the game up until May. You said so yourself on the Zoom call in late April. And look at what has happened since, all under your solitary watch. This is not about you saving face, winning a personal battle that only exists in your mind. This is about the whole of humanity. Inadvertently, you have sent my reputation through the roof since May, when the object for the past 4 years was to send your reputation through the roof, not mine. I don't need a reputation. I'm not the one with the titles. You did. And that is why I never proclaimed much of my role in it. It was you who outed what I had done on the Christmas and April call, not me. And then accused me, along with Alan James of Circle of White Light, of having an ego problem. Sure, our members will roar with laughter with that statement. Ego people proclaim and shout their own input from the rooftops. I never. But that, it seems, is overlooked when agendas apply. I have much respect for all you have done, Kim, and I wish you well in the future. And you can carry on designating this as an attack, but a clear head will see it as constructive criticism And actually the goal was to help you, not attack you. If I really wanted to attack you, I would have just have to stay quiet. Say nothing. As with the things being said and unfolding on the Life Force and UNC channel, you are running yourself down and damaging your reputation with your own words and actions each week. So I could just say nothing and just let you carry on hanging yourself with contradictions and sensationalised claims each week that zero to date have come to fruition. But there's a bigger picture here beyond the Kim and Life Force Roadshow, and that is my main and only concern. And I'm asking you, Kim, to remember the two things from March and April this year. One, the 12-point plan I gave you. And two, the incident in the car in April where you were ultra critical of yourself. Really ultra critical of yourself. Why was that? And perhaps this piece today will help you. I never imagined I would write this piece ever. But these are the times we live in, and people going off track. And some really bad deeds have been done and said against me and THI by you and your group since May, mostly behind the scenes. That quite frankly makes a mockery of your claim that we must all come together. And to the people who hear this, you have no idea of how much flack I've taken behind the scenes, all underhandedly via Tank, Ava in a roundabout way, and Kim plus others, and by and large kept quiet. The biggest sadness to me was seeing you, Kim, at minute 48 in your September 6th show. The look of sadness, broken and haunted, was a far cry from the glowing person that shone right through our Zoom call in April. A far cry. The difference has been noted by me and many others inside and also outside of the alt media who know you well. At which point do you recognise this as an issue and a problem and address it? At the end of the day, some honesty and truth-telling is required here, Kim, in full. And only then can unity and the people really coming together can have a chance to prosper. And that, as the eve, starts and ends with you. I hope with that piece in some way brings more clarity to the situation. I would have hoped to have never ever done a piece like that. But sometimes there's a word called tough love. You can carry on bullshitting people and watching them sink, or you can tell them the truth and be accused of being a bad guy or an attacker. I can handle that. There is much more I could have said that would have been even more damaging to their cause, but I've chosen not to. And the fact I said their cause and not our cause is the most damaging aspect on a wider aspect that transcends THI or life force and is about we the people, not popularity contests. I've said all along, this is not about me. This is our group, not my group. The People's Club is what it says. It belongs to the people. All the people, including Life Force members. But this division created by Kim and Tank, as he's been doing it for the past 2 years for his own ego ends, has to stop. United we stand, divided we fall. It is the season of fall, but due to poor decisions made in the last 6 months, this fall was supposed to be the clown's fall. And now it looks like the people's. And Kim has to take all the responsibility for that. Should this piece not lead to a resolving of issues? Admins are considering given the volume of jabs at myself, THI, and the blocking of our members joining Life Force, a total ban on any Life Force, UNC or Speak project posts on our page. No one has been blocked from our group. Kim is still in MeWe and Ava is still in Facebook. But these posts are being used to create discordant energies within our group and is becoming increasingly fractious within our group that we don't need at this point for what is best for our members. Should that step be taken, you will all be notified by a post, and their posts will be deleted automatically. If you live by the sword, you end up dying by the sword. A sword can defend or cut you. But if your sword is rigid and stuck, the sword then can only cut you. It cannot defend. And with that all said, hopefully we can all now move on. I said time would tell. It has. Does that please me? I was right. The answer is emphatically no. I wished it was all different. And despite the very poor words and actions by Kim against me on May the 4th, I have tried 4 times to make peace when many others wouldn't have given her behaviour. And 4 times she trampled all over that peace. I stand by all what I've said, and that was also on behalf of many, many others who have written to me or sent messages or emails. And I have proof for most of what was said. A recent conversation on the chat I thought I would bring to a wider audience on the show. And the gist of the debate is we should all share energy or energies. But the question back was, what type of energy are you sharing? Have you considered when people are sharing energies, the quality of that energy? Is it for your greater good? Have you defined what is your space and your field when considering sharing energies? Have you cleared your space and field and defined what energies you allow in? And these are important things to consider when consenting to the sharing of energies. Why? Do you understand the term harvesting? The 99% have shared their energies with the 1%, and they harvested it all. And so with that said, it is kind of naive to suggest it's just about sharing energies. The key to THI listeners is to protect your energies, not share it with a bulk of humanity who harvest it. One of the things we have done at THI is highlight how we think and how we relate things. And are we in danger of consenting to things with how we speak that we may not be recognizable at the first go? We have had to counter many New Age and Wiccan speak that crept into alt media circles in vast volumes as well. And the key was, have you defined energies or the sharing of it? And wafting words about like energies and consciousness is often New Age speak without the clear definition. And there is a difference. And what I'm trying to get across, and I'm asking, is for you all to define the sharing of energies. Tuesday's harrowing show about the children brought this discussion to full clarity. The children subjected to adrenochrome harvesting that can be perceived as just sharing their energy. Is that acceptable? That is being in the action, and their action of harvesting our energy, is it not? My question then is, you cannot just share the energy, can you, without defining it? And non-defining has caused untold damage to all humans here. All of us, including me, have not defined enough of our words. And a frittering use and application of our energy has yielded big harvesting. Not understanding our own energy life force equals harvesting. But then we bring in a THI meme of observe, not absorb. You observe the dark energy, dark magicians, dark forces and jinns, not absorb them. Absorbing them equals energy sharing and a fall from grace and harvesting. The lesson is you are responsible for your own fields and energies. Only you share energies in minimal circumstances with people you actually know and trust. Our abilities to read people and their intentions is often in the poor to average range. And that is why you must look after your own energies before considering others. The Abraxans, Draco, Mantid and Greys knew the importance of our energy, and they revealed it in Jupiter Ascending. After that movie, And if you've seen it, ignorance became a choice that was your responsibility. Remember, a soul journey is not a groupthink exercise, but a personal journey only. And the final song is a question for all people to ponder on. Myself, all the listeners, Kim, Tank, and anybody else. Good night.